So just minutes ago, we got this news that President Trump announcing a new operation. This is Project Freedom that will allow...
And people don't happen, US don't do them again. I know see the reason why US take this action now because of attitude of Tinubu. Tinubu know they hear word, divide this country and make sure say Biafra go their own, but you know they hear word. But look at the action we see US not already taking right now about Nigeria. So pay attention what this video from the start to the end. They listen to every single thing where they go on, where they happen right now, and share this video to everyone so that they go day away of what they go on. I no go just talk much. I go allow wanna pay attention what this video. Watch it from the start to the end. The ending side is the most important place where we say you need to pay attention on, because Nigeria will be say, in fact, I'm not going to talk much. Listen to what Donald Trump don't tell Nigeria and Tinubu what going to happen in the coming days right now. Share this video and they at alert of what won't happen. Watch it to the end.
Again and again, the US government has put Nigeria on their watch list. And not only that, they have threatened to freeze 50% of the aid they give to Nigeria. Oh yes, in fact, according to the news we received yesterday, being the first day of May 2026, it says, look at this, US puts Nigeria on watch list, threatens to freeze 50% of aid in new bill. As you can see, this news was published yesterday, being the first day of May 2026. Now, bear it in mind that two things are happening here, right? One, they have put Nigeria on their watch list. And secondly, they have threatened, in fact, if they pass this new bill, it will be that they will freeze 50% of the aid they are giving to Nigeria. Nigeria, Nigeria, Nigeria. Anyway, please, I beg you to stay with me because we are going to go down quickly into this news so that you will see and hear what is happening. Stay with me because there's a lot they talked about in this video. Now, if you go down through this news, it says, okay, the United States House Appropriation Committee has approved a foreign assistance bill that would impose stricter conditions on financial support to Nigeria, signaling growing concern in Washington over insecurity and accountability in Africa's most populous nation. So two things again here, what? Insecurity and accountability. Nigeria, Nigeria, Nigeria. Stay with me. Going further, it says, okay, the provisions are included in the fiscal year 2027 National Security, Department of State and Related Programs Appropriation Bill, which allocates about $47.32 billion for foreign aid and diplomacy, a reduction of roughly 6% from the previous year. Okay, stay with me. He went further to say, while the registration does not earmark a significant funding amount for Nigeria, it introduces new restrictions that could significantly affect disbursement. Under the proposal, 50% of U.S. assistance allocated to Nigeria would be withheld until the Secretary of State certifies that the government is taking effective steps to address violence, protect civilians, and hold perpetrators accountable. Are you understanding that they will hold this 50% until what? They are satisfied that Nigerian government is taking effective steps to address violence, protect civilians, and hold perpetrators accountable. This one is not about recruiting terrorists. They say you will hold perpetrators accountable. All right. Going further, it says, lawmakers linked the measures to concerns over persistent attacks attributed to militant groups, including violence affecting religious communities. The bill also requires Nigerian authorities to prioritize support for victims, particularly internally displaced persons, and to facilitate the safe return and reconstruction of affected communities. So they are going to, reconstruct the affected communities and make sure that internally displaced persons, IDPs, that they return to their homes. So they are telling Nigerian government that they have a lot of work to do. All this money they are using to do one or two things or borrow it, they should use it to go and reconstruct that place so that these people will return home. If you go to the north, there are so many IDP camps where people are staying and not even that they have been taken care of. Right? So the US is making this bill and telling them that you must do this. If you don't do it, if we pass this bill, 50% of the aid we are giving you will be cut off. All right? Now, going further, it says, okay, going further, it says, in addition, the registration calls for investigation and prosecutions tied to armed groups and stipulates that Nigeria must commit matching funds for US-backed programs, effectively requiring a dollar-for-dollar contribution from its own budget. All right, so this is the US, officials where they are making the bill. Of course, the bill is here to pass, but once it is passed, come on, all these things must happen. A committee statement said the bill aims to hold foreign governments accountable for persecuting people of faith, adding that assistance to Nigeria would be restricted until measurable actions are taken to protect vulnerable populations. Until what? Did you hear it? Until measurable actions are taken to protect vulnerable populations. Okay. The proposed framework also subjects Nigeria to heightened congressional scrutiny. If enacted, the US administration would be required to notify Congress at least 15 days before obligating funds for the country, allying Nigeria with other nations subject to heightened oversight. Of course, if Nigeria do all this, then the US will release the full fund to them. But if they don't do it, if they don't protect their citizens, if they don't hold perpetrators accountable, if they don't sit up to protect their citizens, the US is saying that this 50%, if they cut it, they're not going to give it to them. All right? The broader bill includes several major funding envelopes, such as $6.89 billion for national security investment programs, with at least 15% designated for Africa, alongside $870 million for counter-terrorism and non-proliferation efforts, and $1.66 billion for internationally narcotics control and law enforcement. So these are the money they send to Africa and what they are being used for. All right? So on this final note, it says, despite the tougher stance, the registration is not yet law. It must still pass both chambers of Congress and be signed by the US president before taking effect. So once he pass the chambers of Congress and the US president sign it, this law will take effect. All right. Nigeria has previously rejected claims that violence in the country is driven by religious persecution, arguing instead that it reflects a complex mix of terrorism, banditry, and communal conflict. The one they say it is farmer-herder clash. That is what they mean by communal conflict. All right. The bill, nevertheless, underscores a shift in US policy towards stricter oversight of foreign assistance, particularly in countries facing prolonged security challenges, and could reshape Washington's engagement with Nigeria if approved. So once this law is approved, it's going to change a lot of things, between Nigeria and US. In Washington. So that is what they mean. So what do you make of this? I don't know. On daily basis, we keep hearing bad news about Nigeria. What is really going on? Do we still have a president? If we do, what is the president doing? Especially about this insecurity. On daily basis, we hear of people being unalived, we hear of banditry, we hear of terrorism, we hear of suicide bombing on daily basis. Is it that our security personnel cannot handle this anymore? What is really going on? Well, I don't know. For you watching me, do you wish that this bill will pass? Of course, if the bill is passed, Now money they go cut, no be say nothing much. They say they are going to cut 50% of their aid to Nigeria. So I don't know what to make of it, but then I'm going to allow you to listen to this brief analysis they gave in Channels Television about this. Please do well to drop your comment in the comment section, and if this is your first time coming across my video on my channel, please do well to subscribe on this channel. I get information of everything that is happening around the world. Please listen to them briefly.
First this hour, a new story that is developing and we are following. U.S. President Donald Trump says that Christianity faces existential threat in Nigeria, and he is adding the West African nation to a State Department watch list. According to Trump, radical Islamists are responsible for mass slaughter and killing of thousands of Christians. Although he did not state the source of the information leading to that conclusion, he went on to put the country on a countries of particular concern list of nations, and the U.S. finds have engaged in religious freedom violations. Well, the list includes China, Myanmar, North Korea, Russia, Pakistan, among others. According to the State Department website, after giving the directive, Trump is asking the U.S. representatives Riley Moore and Tom Cole, as well as the House of Representatives Appropriations Committee, to look into the matter and report back to him. It will be recalled that the U.S. president first placed Nigeria on the list in 2020 during his first time in office, before his successor, President Joe Biden, removed the country from the list in 2021.
All right, for an analysis on Trump's decision, we're joined now by Professor Chukwudi Odoeme. He's the head of Department, Public and International Law, Veritas University. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you so much.
Well, it does look like this is deja vu again. I mean, Trump, just like, this I read in that intro, did the same, something similar in his first term, and here we are again, and he's putting us in really, really bad company. But what does this mean for Nigeria? How much of a setback is this, as Nigeria tries, to gain friends from all over the world, to attract foreign direct investment and, genuine interest in Nigeria from the international community? What does this mean for Nigeria?
Yeah, I must say it's a very bad development. Particularly because of Nigerians' quest to have countries of the developed world come to invest in Nigeria, and the very bad part of it is that no country in the world, no company in the world that is into proper businesses who want to invest in a country where they are not sure that citizens' rights are protected. Many of the multinationals that have their base in the United States and the UK are also interested in the human rights situations of the countries they work in, because they are shareholders at home are interested in all of those. We could get to the point where they will blacklist companies, blacklist products, and ask that, no, we don't want to patronize your companies because you do businesses in such places. But then how much that affects the profitability of those companies and their ventures in those countries is something that we're yet to study. Because you still see them, like the Chevrons of this world, the Texacos in Myanmar, in all places of the world where religious freedom is forbidden, countries where human rights are suppressed, countries where even freedom of expression and basic fundamental rights are not available at all. Yeah. So it's a very bad one, particularly because we're trying to launder our image at this time. It's a very bad development. Okay,
and do you see this complicating the relations between both nations further, US and Nigeria? And what should be the smart response from Nigeria at this time?
Yeah. In terms of a relationship between Nigeria and the United States, as this is concerned, is a very important one. The reason is simple. For the United States to have come to a point of conclusion that Nigeria ought to be in that list and go a step forward to declare Nigeria as being a country of concern means that they have been, taking silent stock of what is going on in Nigeria. And genocide is one of those international crimes that no civilized world will want to hear. It doesn't matter whether it's against Christians, it doesn't matter whether it's against a simple tribe or a people, or a peoples, as we say in international law. It doesn't really matter. So I think the smart thing that Nigeria needs to do is that if you have taken a look at this allegation, because it's been there over time, there's so much complaints about how Christians are being treated in Nigeria. One of the biggest pointers, one of the biggest black points is that the government is not doing anything about it. So churches are destroyed, people, communities are sacked, and we hear the rumor that there are predominantly Christian communities, particularly in the Plateau State area, on that middle of the middle
belt. Central.
Yes, nothing happens. Communities are sacked, and it feels like nothing happened. Thousands of people are buried. Nobody cares. Not even government officials go to say, "Oh, this is bad." And the much they do is just condemn it on TV, and the same thing happens the next day, and it goes on like business as usual. So I think this government should particularly exonerate itself from this complaint. That's the smartest way.
But has the Nigerian government done a good job of it when it pushes back and says, look, this is not, don't give this a religious slant, that every Nigerian, whatever the religious hue is, has been a victim at the receiving end of the, violence, terrorism and all of that in Nigeria. Have they done a good job of it? And how more complicated is it? That we don't even have ambassadors that they are interfacing with to actually paint the correct picture of what's going on in Nigeria.
Yeah, so let me start from the last point.
Yes.
Having ambassadors to pick, the countries don't get data from all these official quotas we may think. They have embassies around the world are like extensions of their countries there, so they have ways and means of getting data. And then it's not about Christianity, it's just that is a population, because when you talk about genocide, you're talking about a selection of people you can put in a box in and one identity.
And eliminate them.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. No, what I mean is that in terms of identification.
Yes.
So it could be a tribe. It could be, it may just be even a cult group, or even a splitter group. So it's not even about it being Christian. It's about it being that these are citizens of Nigeria or constituents in Nigeria who are being, stereotyped, attacked because of their belonging to that group.
Right.
So that's a bad part of it.
Yeah, opinions have been divided even back at home on what is going on exactly, whether it's genocide against Christianity or not. But we should be reminded that President Biden did remove Nigeria from this list. Why is Trump fixated? Is this a fixation for him? Because he was the first to put it there, and he's back doing this. And just about 2 weeks ago, his special advisor on Arab and Africa, Massacre, did say there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. He said everyone has been a victim, like Ngozi highlighted. But here we hear from Trump almost 2 weeks after saying this is Christian genocide.
Yeah, so the president holds it.
So what changed? Is it Nigeria that changed between Trump and Biden and his special advisor, or is this local politics for Trump?
No, this is not local politics. This is data speaking. This is data speaking, and then again, this is Trump's attitude. He has been all over the world trying to make sure that minorities are protected. You can see what he did in the Middle East in the case of Palestine. Nobody saw that coming, but he was able to broker peace to make sure that the Palestinians are safeguarded and there's a little bit of peace in that region. This has been his attitude. And if you also watch what is going on in his intervention in Ukraine, you find out that this is a man who, you like it or not, is open to making sure there's peace around the world. And that's what the United States stands for anyway. So they go to the ends of the world to restore dignity to people whose dignity are being impaired by one way or the other. And most unfortunately, when governments are involved, you can even see what they are doing in Myanmar also, and certain other places of the world where such things are happening.
And Trump has, consulted with U.S. Representatives Riley Moore, Tom Cole, as well as, House Reps Appropriations Committee to look into the matter and report back to him. Should this have been done first before adding Nigeria, to that list?
The United States that I know don't work on, impulse. They don't work on impulse. There must be something on the table. The president doesn't listen to Nigerian news to see what is going on. He doesn't read Nigerian newspapers, but somebody does.
Though they didn't mention the source of the information.
Yeah, so but we are going to have access to that in the days to come.
When 200 people were murdered, killed in a church. Now, I want to ask this. So one question was, did things improve? I think the answer is no on that. Here's the question. Proportionally, do we see Christians killing Muslims in Christian areas of Nigeria the way that we are seeing radicalized Islamists killing Christians in Muslim areas of Nigeria?
What I can tell you, Representative Huizenga, is that Christians are disproportionately targeted based on their population.
Exactly. And by the way, for those that you can't pick up with the microphones, there's audible yeses behind you. Again, the people that are watching who are nodding their heads. Why? Because they have lived this. Their families have lived this. I went to school with kids from Nigeria. I've got neighbors who've been missionaries there, who have family there, who have friends there, who know this is going on. Yet we've got not just the mass media, we got people within Congress denying that this is happening, or certainly de-emphasizing it. It ought to be outrageous that it is Christians, moderate Muslims, anyone being terrorized by these radicalized Islamists in Nigeria, and we've got the Tinubu government sitting back and not doing enough. And I recently just was interviewed by Nigerian television, Arise TV. And that was really their question. Is the Tinubu government doing enough? And I had to answer, no, they are not. And I do not understand how a delegation can come here to the United States and downplay and come up with all of these other excuses as to why this is allowed to happen. It should be rejected and should be called out for what it is. And I've got a couple of other questions that my time has expired that I'm going to have to go and ask for them in written responses. But one of them I need to highlight is in Benue State, there's 1.4 million people who are considered internally displaced. Understanding that the administration has supported refugee assistance in dozens of other countries since taking office, what humanitarian assistance support are you providing or plan to provide to the IDPs in Benue and Taraba states, where many of those Christian communities reside? And I'll have to take the answer in writing. And Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, just to show the breadth of this, I want to submit for the record remarks from the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, French Hill from Arkansas, who also serves on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, the Intel Committee. And I serve as vice chair of the Committee of Financial Services. This is where many of those sanctions originate and the enforcement. And I will say this, sanctions are only as good as your willingness to enforce them. And as the chairman has pointed out, there are ways to get out of those sanctions. And that's through correct your behavior. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit the letter. Thank you. And with that, I yield back.
Chair, did the United Kingdom approve the division of Nigeria? So guys, there's this headline that has been trending since after terror guys executed close to 200 persons in Kwara State. Now, I've been unable to verify this headline. Let me read it out. It says here, breaking. U.S. lawmaker Moore shows the U.S. Congress a written statement by the British government stating that Nigeria should be divided after 100 years, which he said expired in 2014. Now, this person also wrote the same thing, saying U.S. lawmaker Moore shows the U.S. Congress a written statement by the British government stating that Nigeria should be divided after 100 years, which he said expired in 2014. A United States lawmaker, Moore, has reportedly presented a written statement to the U.S. Congress, which he claims originated from the British government. According to Moore, the document allegedly suggested that Nigeria could reconsider its political structure 100 years after its formation, a period he said ended in 2014. Moore argued that Nigeria's continued unity has faced persistent challenges, citing ethnic tensions, insecurity, and governance issues. However, his remark has sparked controversy as no official confirmation has been provided by the British government to support the existence or validity of such a document. So guys, anyway, these are some of the headlines saying this. I was unable to verify this, so I'm putting it out there. If you think this is true, that the UK once said Nigeria is free to divide after 100 years. Let me know in the comment section. Now, this is coming after jihadis executed almost 200 persons in Kwara State. Now, see what this person wrote. He said, forget what the media is saying. Over 200 people were killed. This massacre in Kwara is just the beginning of what will happen in Yoruba land. They are already in Oyo State. Have been warning about the Islamization agenda of Islamists and Fulani jihadis. It's already happening. Apostle Michael Oluwo Okele is speaking. Now, this other person here tweeted and said, the audacity of these terrorists to pause their slaughter of human beings to go and pray, only to return and resume their massacre. And in all these hours, not a single security agency in Kwara State intervened or tried to engage them. In a sane country, Tinubu would have resigned by now. So these terrorists actually started executing these people. At a point, they took a break to go and pray. After prayers, they came back and resumed their execution of their fellow human beings. They came to preach to them, telling them to accept Sharia law. This is like, accept Sharia or you die. That is exactly the message they came with. And because these people tried to resist them, they decided to execute them. They also said that what even made them angrier is after writing letter to the village head that they will be coming, the village head went to report them to security agents. So they were angry even before coming that the security head has reported them to security agent. And that was one of the reasons why they now went out to start executing men, women, children, and all that. So guys, this is the worst because it is not happening in far north. I mean, this is the worst we have seen close to the south. Nigerians, everywhere is on fire and Tinubu is nowhere to be found. I mean, now see this other headline says over 160 people slaughtered in a predominant Yoruba town, and everywhere is silent because you love Tinubu more than your safety. So these people actually went to where Yorubas are living. They want to take over Kwara. They want to take over everywhere. They are executing mostly the Christians and moderate Muslims. You know, they went to Yoruba dominated environment and slaughtered almost 200 persons. Now, this other headline says terrorists who killed 170 in Kwara. In Kwara's Woros community, allegedly had security informants, says Berugi. They had security informants. People were giving them information. So guys, I'm just going to allow you to take a look at how Arise TV has deliberated on this worst incident happening close to, you know, the southern part of Nigeria. This is heartbreaking. But before you see how Arise TV analyzed this, take a look at this video.
Saidu Baba Ahmed is saying that almost 200 people were killed by terrorists after they violently attacked the villages of Nuku and Woro on Tuesday evening. According to the lawmaker, the terrorists invaded the area around 6 p.m. local time and set the King's Palace, shops, and homes on fire. The attack was confirmed on Wednesday by the governor, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, who stated that 75 Muslims were massacred for refusing to surrender to extremists.
Because they absolutely refuse to change the doctrine in the faith, they were attacked and massacred. It's different from what we used to see, where the subjects were kidnapped for ransom. But this was just a pure massacre. And it's something we truly condemn. But these challenges will be mitigated, inshallah. Well, at the moment, the State Emergency Services is going through enumeration and for how to take care and look over the members of the families.
I mean, this they've described as the deadliest attack, almost unimaginable that this occurred just back to back after. I mean, it's been a horrible year so far, Ayo. I mean, the attack of this magnitude is really, really horrifying. May all of their souls rest in peace. And I'd like to take Farouk Perogi's post. I mean, that he released a statement. He wrote, people familiar with what happened in the village of Woro, Kayama local government area, said that the bloodbath started yesterday evening and continued into the morning hours of today. The trigger for the mass massacre was a decision by the district head of the village, by the name Alhaji Saliu Umar, to inform the authorities of a letter the community received from the terrorists stating that they would be coming to preach in the village at an unspecified date. The village head suspected that the terrorists known to locals as Mahmouda were up to no good. So he did what all law-abiding people would do, report to the security forces. It turned out, however, that the terrorists appeared to have informants among the security forces the village head reported to. The terrorists were incensed that the village head had the temerity to report them to the security forces and decided to go on a mass murdering spree. In retaliation, it is not the first time the Mahmuda terrorists have done such a thing in that community. The photos of slaughtered and mutilated bodies of innocent men, women, and children that my people shared with me have immobilized me and will probably haunt me for days. And I did see some of those visuals. Really, really horrific. You know, women, children, the king's family killed. We had our reporter on ground. We even had our reporter yesterday saying that he was there counting bodies and he was weak. Ayo.
No, this is a very sad day for not just Kwara State, but for the whole of Nigeria.
Yes.
And a number of people have been talking about it earlier today. Just corroborating what Mr. Farouk Perogi said, we had Alhaji Saliu himself come to speak about what happened. He described the fact that they had received letters ahead of time. Number one, this shows the brazenness of the terrorists, to the fact that they felt confident enough to write. It reminds me of the days when robbers would write to a neighborhood in some parts of Lagos and Nigeria and say, "We are coming," and nothing would be done. It also speaks to the inefficiency in this regard of security agents. It means it's almost an open dare to them. However, the military has continued to demonstrate their efforts to tackling insecurity, even though we're asking for more. Now, beyond that, was that he went to report the matter as any uprighting citizen of the country and a community leader of his stature should have done. But what he met was a betrayal, a massive betrayal of trust, because someone within the agency, the GSS agency or the agency, the security agents, went to divulge this information to the enemies, who then, becoming upset, just what Mr. Paragi said.
Yeah.
And so, a number of things to address here. In the same way as we had with the school kidnappings, where someone leaked intelligence to the security operatives, and we said, who ordered the soldiers to withdraw? We don't have an answer to that yet. In the same vein, we're asking, who was the person that received intelligence information, and can we track the number of people in that chain who had information and begin investigation there? Let this not go. If not, we keep wasting our times. These are preventable deaths.
Yes.
These are preventable atrocities, because if something had been done following the letter that was written, perhaps we wouldn't be where we are today. Then beyond that is the fact that we must look at how, response time, because another thing that was asked this morning was, at what point were the soldiers called in? They were called at 5 p.m. They arrived at 3 a.m. That means that they arrived 10 hours. So what are the bottlenecks that were faced? With regards to emergency response, perhaps the number of deaths that were recorded would not have been recorded. It's a sad day for the community. Unfortunately, what this does is that it continues to spread fear amongst people in Kwara State and neighboring environments, and I dare say the whole of Nigeria, because the question is, who's next? If we're not arresting, if we're not prosecuting significantly, then Nigerians cannot go to bed with their two eyes closed that the government has security under control, and that's a sad situation. But the government say that they're on top of this. Let's see what they will do after this.
They are on top of it. This is the same question, the same Kwara State. This is the question a lot of people are asking. I mean, it's not new that these terrorists are operating in Kwara State, especially. Why deploy troops after the fact? What if we have troops? Why don't you just put them on ground? People have died needlessly. Someone's saying 200 people. 200. In one day. May their souls rest in peace. Meanwhile, the United States military has confirmed that American troops have been deployed to Nigeria, marking the first official acknowledgement of U.S. boots on the ground since Washington launched airstrikes on Christmas Day. General Dagvin Anderson, head of U.S. Africa Command, announced on Tuesday that a small team with unique capabilities has been sent to Nigeria following increased security cooperation between both nations. The deployment came after Anderson's meeting with President Tinubu in Rome last year. Nigeria's Defense Minister Christopher Musa confirmed the presence of the U.S. personnel, but provided no further details. Meanwhile, the House Foreign Affairs Africa Subcommittee held a hearing on Wednesday titled Defending Religious Freedom Around the World, with U.S. congressmen calling out Nigeria as a country violating religious freedom. Well, according to former U.S. Ambassador Sam Brownback, Nigeria is at risk of descending into widespread Christian-Muslim violence, with Brownback describing Nigeria as the deadliest place on the planet to be a Christian. And you know, Rufai, this was the conversation about this Kwara attack. You know, they call them jihadists, the people that were there. But you know, I call them terrorists, whether they are jihadists or not. They were out there trying to indoctrinate people in Kwara State, and because they refused to, you know, cower to the religion, they massacred them. That's one of the stories out there.
Let's go back to the definition of a genocide.
Yes.
The definition talks a lot about intent, all right? In this case, in this massacre case, was there intent? Yes. The intent was to spread doctrines. They massacred Christians, they massacred Muslims, more Muslims. So can we all agree that this is a genocide? Because you see, in also having this conversation, it's how we situate the conversation. A lot of people were trying to run around and deny, oh, there's no Christian genocide. No, there's no. And I've said many times, I can say boldly, there's Christian genocide. I can also say there's genocide against Muslims in the country. But can we both agree that there's a genocide going on in Nigeria? Because with these killings, does it pass the test of intent? It does. Secondly, the case about complicity. Till today, the Nigerian state does not have. And please, let me be a bearer of bad news, Oji. Attacks like this will happen again.
God for.
No, see, it's not by God saying God forbid.
I always pray.
Oji, see, Oji, it's not for the want of prayer. If it's by prayer, the amount of prayer that goes out in churches every Sunday, Nigeria will not have one smell of insecurity. But it's not by prayer. It's by walking and praying. We pray, but we are not doing the aspect of walking. What is the walking? Intelligence, reconnaissance, holding people accountable. Oji, I can bet you that those that leaked the secret to the terrorist group, those that were complicit, they will never be revealed. We should not even investigate further, Oji. How did the village head call the security boys by 5 o'clock? They didn't come till after 3. And it was when the terrorists finished that they came. Who is protecting who? They said they put booby traps on the road. They call you by 5, reconnaissance. When I was asking Rafiu, the chief press secretary, he was trying to dodge it. You see, in this country too, you will not want to talk against your master or talk against. They said they got the people came. They didn't come until 3 o'clock. Ayo, you raised a very important point as regards the KB girls. That was how they ordered the military to leave there and the attack happened. So who is in charge of all of this? Who are the complicit bad eggs? Hoji, as long as we've not targeted the complicit bad eggs, it's going to happen again because it didn't only happen in Kwara, it happened in Katsina, it happened in other parts. Hoji, it's just that same level of complicity that happened in Kaduna, that terrorists came, picked 177 people. The local government chairman went there and told them, please don't talk about it, don't reveal this. And guess what? It was because the people revealed it. Till today, the local government chairman is still working free. The police was also complicit. The police also tried to cover it. Hoji, in a case where you can't trust the police, trust security architecture, trust the fact that you give intelligence. And that's why when people say, oh, give us intelligence of what's happening, you are so scared you don't know who to talk to. In a case you can't trust all of that, then there's the culture of complicity. Hoji, it will happen constantly again. See, I don't know who said it to, but they cease to see that if an insurrection happens for more than 24 hours in a country, there's an element of complicity. The complicity is so wild in this country that you and I will be here and will report the next attack, which might be a couple of days from now, except we change.
We need to target these terrorists.
It's waiting they go on for our country now, waiting on a take presently right now as P2B won't enter office right now or enter as presidential candidate of NDC. And I think say he go solve our problem or on a still think say na Biafra we will need. I want more to drop on our thoughts at the comment section because this election we they want to do now don't shift the attention of the Igbos. They know they think of Biafra again. So waiting on when I think say Biafra is still the way or I think say make Igbo get the presidency, then they can divide the country. And I think say waiting be named P2B can divide this country divide this country in peace. What do I think? So drop your thought at the comment section. Me, so many people down the talk say making enter there, getting presidency then within 4 years, 4 year we be saying one rule. Now same talk. Now to divide the country and everything in the plan. So I don't know how true with that thing on things in be. Share on our thoughts at the comment section, because me, I don't tire for everything where they go on for our country. Nobody will go there for this country will never tire. If you never tire me, I don't tire, because this one Nigeria where we talk, go feel work. So what do you think? Drop your thoughts at the comment section and share to everyone on every social media platform. Don't forget to click the subscribe button for more updates.